Hello gamers, Pet here. Welcome to a short video about the Legacy of the Void beta preview for StarCraft 2. In case you don't know what Legacy of the Void is, it's the third and the last expansion of the StarCraft 2 game. We have been waiting for this one for a long time. It's finally going to come here, well, at least the beta. The beta is actually going to start at the on 31 March. 2015 is going to start, and hopefully I will be able to get in. Probably not at the start, at least not at the start, not when I want it, only later when I won't care that much about it. But anyway, I am a little bit excited. For you who don't know, I used to cast a lot of StarCraft 2 back in 2010 until at the end of 2011. I used to organize tournaments. StarCraft in a way was my life. I was doing this full time. This is how I actually got some of my equipment, like this microphone and these lights only go this little. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I decided to make this short video just to look at what some of those things will be, some of those units, and try to think about it, try to start up a discussion. So write in the comments below what are your opinions about what Blizzard has announced. So as you can see, this actually came out yesterday, this news. I found about it this night when I woke up. So the beta is near. There is also a video. I'm going to kind of edit that video over what I'm talking. Again, the purpose here is for me talking. Okay. So some things at the start of the beta will feel more rough than usual. We'll be missing some units, improvements, and features. The beta will run for a longer period than usual. We need your playtesting support as well as the feedback about your experience in the beta in order to really work together on this expansion. This is the thing with this thing in particular. From what I know, Legacy of the Void will be a standalone expansion for StarCraft 2. Mainly because it's kind of the last in the series, right? So StarCraft 2... when Legacy of the Void is going to come out, StarCraft 2 is going to end, as in there will be no further expansions in theory. Probably Blizzard will after that start working on Warcraft 4 or something like that. So they are trying to set up the game to be in that way that you will play StarCraft 2 from 10 years from now. This is why some of the features that I've seen at BlizzCon, they announced some of those features, and they will add like an in-game tournament system, so you will be able to play tournaments in-game, which is actually great. We have been requesting that since 2010. Hey, maybe 5 years later we'll probably have it. It might be 60 years later in a way. In 5.5 anyway. So let's see. General changes. Resource changes. For the beta, we are altering the number of resources at each base. Half the mineral patches have 1,500 minerals and the other half have 750. The main goal here is to make a change that will keep the feel of resource rate similar to Heart of the Swarm, while simultaneously encouraging players to take additional expensive, more aggressive. So yeah, in a way, your resources are going to run out sooner, so you are going to be forced to expand. In a way, it's trying to... I'm not sure who is this going to affect the most. Probably low league players, because they kind of tend up to play one base for way too long, like kind of, turtle, and that way they will force a little bit to expand sooner, in a way. Because at pro level, players are expanding aggressively anyway. You have to... This is how the game is being played right now, and this is why the game kind of sucks right now, because it's very boring, because they play there are no like rushes anymore, in a way, right? Of course, there are on some games, but even Protoss, right? In the past, the Zerg had to expand. That's how the Zerg was playing. But now, Terran is starting with a command center. Protoss is starting with a Nexus. Like the first building down is a Nexus or whatever. Anyway, this is one of the coolest features, is the starting worker count. You'll also notice that starting working count has been increased to 12. This change is meant to reduce the downtime at the start of the game, since the first few minutes of the game. Yeah, this is the main problem with StarCraft, and it has always been this problem. I remember when I used to cast in the old days, I had to fill up a shitload of... I used to cast Craft Cup and other cups like that, and basically I was sitting on a chair for 6 hours casting. And every time, I couldn't pick the games that I would cast sometimes, so I was getting PvP, the next game PvP, the third game PvP on the same map. So I always had to fill up a lot of the time. The early minutes of the game was me filling up, talking about random shit, trying to talk about the map. But then when the next second game came, I was like, I've already talked about this map, and you kind of can talk pretty fast about things in particular. And then after like 7 or 8 or 10 minutes, they finally expanded, and they are going to be an attack, and they had an attack, and the game ended. That's how a lot of StarCraft 2 games were. So now with this thing that, the worker count is increased to 12, means that it's basically double. I believe you start with 6 harvesters, if I remember correctly, right? This is why it's called a 6 pool and so on. If I remember correctly, right? Now we start with double that, so you will be able to mine much faster, so you will be able to take those expansions much faster, or rush much faster if you want that. But probably people will still play with expansion, considering the first change where you will need to take an expansion anyway. So from what I've seen, from what I try to calculate, you will be able to take an expansion around minute 1, while normally that thing happen around minute 2.5, maybe 3, something like that, depending on the race, depending on the strategy. Anyway, so that's actually really good, a really good change. This is one of the reasons why StarCraft kind of died in views, because it starts slow, it's boring, you have only like one attack and then the game ends. And with MOBAs in general, Dota 2, and even Heroes of the Storm, which is much casual in a way, you have action like early on, and you see action. I mean, in Dota 2 sometimes they are killing themselves before the start of the timer, right? Anyway, unit scan range change. They kind of changed the scan on how the units are detecting stuff, so they will kind of die less in a way. There is this example with those stalkers attacking this mine. So anyway, I'm curious about how this is going to affect things in general. It seems to be more like a technical thing and not like a, gameplay thing too much. Depends. This is something that we really have to see. And then finally, they alterated the game speed. Now the game speed is going to match the real time and not Blizzard seconds, right? Because we knew that the timer was always going faster than normal, and that's like a good change. Again, this is a change for the future, for the upcoming years, so it won't be that confusing. So they say that there will be like a problem for some of those pro players, because they memorize the seconds, and the seconds are going to vary right now, because they will say like an ability cooldown will be 5 seconds, and right now it's a little bit less than that, or more than that, depends. I don't know. Whatever. It's a good change. I'm happy that they are using this, and then they are doing this. Now unit changes. Protoss. They got a new unit called the Adept. Again, things can change. We've seen in Heart of the Swarm, we've seen like a Terran unit, I forgot the name, that the unit simply got removed because it was too powerful. So we might see something like this here. Probably not, because they are, as they said at the start, they are aiming for a longer beta period, so they will have time to tweak things. And since beta is starting on 31 March, I do estimate that we will sit in the beta for a long time, and then the game will probably came out in November or December or something like that. That's what I'm thinking. So the Adept is a core gateway unit which with a ground-only range attack and normal movement speed. This unit utilizes a psionic transfer ability to teleport to a nearby location. So it's a little bit weird in a way on how this is going to be used. It's only going to attack the ground. So in a way, it's how are you going to use this? Like this is something that I would love to talk about this. Like, write in the comments what do you think about this creature, this unit, because you might be able to start fighting at the natural and try to sneak up with that psionic transfer ability on the high ground or up to the ramp, and then teleport there and try to harass some stuff. Now, things that will matter is the cooldown of that thing, and maybe if you can use it to run yet again and teleport again, so you will be able to escape. Also, another question is, can that I don't have the video in my face like right now when I'm talking, but can that thing pass through buildings or through units, or it's going to be affected by those? And then we also have the Disruptor, which is a light mechanical unit from the robotics facility whose ability Purification Nova can deal a massive burst of AoE splash damage if an opponent does not counter micro. The Disruptor is extremely potent versus any force that clumps its units together, as well as against worker lines. So this is going to be like a huge harassing unit from what I see, and it's really adding a lot to the game. Like, I'm really excited about this thing. In the past, it's a robotics facility unit, so it means that you'll be able to put the robotics down, you will be able to get an observer, you will be able to get immortal just in case, and then you will be able to get this one, or in whatever particular order. I'm just giving an example. You'll be able to build those and try to harass. In the past, if you wanted to go to harass, you would have to go on, be building up oracles, right? So this is kind of a nice alternative, but also punishing for Protoss in general. It might work nice on PvP, I think, because, Protoss usually likes to clump its unit together. It might be like an anti-death ball thingy. I don't know. I hate the death ball. I hate the Protoss in general. So, general warp in mechanic. Units that are warping in have become more vulnerable when constructing. The goal of this change is to strengthen harassing tactics versus Protoss, while also making Protoss players' army in warp in positional a more tactical decision. Nice. It's actually nice. A lot of the times, the Protoss is just warping units in front of you, and you won't really have time to react to that because you are fighting other units, and then those units warped in, and they will be able, bam, just in fight. Here, you will be able to just focus those warping units to take them out fast because they are more vulnerable, and then you will be able to focus more on the main army that's down. I'm thinking about harassing stuff and stuff like that. And that way, it will force the Protoss to think better on where he's warping it. Maybe he will work a little bit behind, so then you will have time to respirate to micro a little bit or stuff like that. War Priest. To strengthen the harassment options available to Protoss, the War Priest can now pick up units from a distance. It says only pick up units. That's nice because you will be able to drop something. Then the enemy will notice, hey, shit, and then you will put the War Priest a little bit behind stuff, just to protect the War Priest better, because right now the War Priest is very vulnerable, so it can be easily targeted down and shot down, and then your units, you're going to lose your units, and then there is no micro anything. Immortal. In order to create more opponents for the Terran, more opportunities for the Terrar mech to increase the impact of micro, the Immortal Hardened Shield ability has been removed and replaced with Barrier, an activated ability which grants the Immortal a limited hit points shield, which is nice. Again, Protoss in the past, I'm not saying it wasn't micro-intensive, it was micro-intensive if you were, Zealot rushing or playing a Blink Dagger, a Blink Stalker strategy. Then yes, Protoss was microing. But then it also encouraged that death ball with Immortals and Colossus, and it was really boring. And now with that Hardened Shield ability, it's really something that Protoss players will need to take into consideration and just press that barrier button to activate the ability. So it's more micro-oriented, so I'm up for that. Oracle. To create more diversity in the Protoss detection, Revelation has been removed and merged with Envision so that the targets tagged are now revealed for 60 seconds. The Oracle also has been granted a new active ability called Status Ward. So basically the Status Ward is like a trap, and when that explodes it will stop units in place. But the thing is that from what I see, those units are also going to be immune to damage. So it's not like you can trap them and then you can you can hit them while the enemy won't be able to micro. It will be like too powerful then. So I'm curious to see exactly how it is going to be used. It might be used like depending on the costs, actually, because the Oracle is using energy to fire, right? So you might get some Oracle into the mineral line and use a status trap so he won't be able to mine or something. Not sure. Or maybe you can use it to... It might be used on some situations like the Terran is coming with the army. The army is going to be frozen, and then you will be able to position your zealots right where the army is, so they will be able to fire immediately or something like that. Like if the enemy is coming with some siege tanks that are not siege up, you static strap and then move the zealots right on close range of the tanks or something like that, I think. Tempest, to help intensify action, the Tempest has his role changed to an aerial skirmish unit. His movement speed has been increased, and it can now fire on ground units, and it has been granted an activated ability called Disintegration, which deals damage area over time. Okay, cute. Carriers are now activated. This is nice. Carriers can now activate release interceptors to permanently launch all interceptors at a greater distance. After 30 seconds, the remaining will perish. This is nice. You will be able to build up the interceptors like you usually do, and then you will tell them to go there at a great distance. The interceptors will go and they will try to harass while the carriers are sitting behind, chilling, being protected. And then after 60 seconds, boom, those interceptors perish. If they are still alive, of course. So the Terran, the Cyclone. The Cyclone is a factory unit which can lock onto targets that deal massive damage over time while on the move. Using the Cyclone to its full potential and reacting to it is well both depending on more mark. I think I'm going to stop reading that much because I'm kind of tired right now and I'm reading pretty badly. But this unit is a little bit strange. Like the range, in order for this creature, for this unit to stop firing, the enemy has to go like really, really far. So this unit has like a really, really long range. So it's interesting to see how this one is going to be played. However, I'm more excited about the other changes for the Terran, more exactly the Battle Cruiser. The Battle Cruiser has been granted the tactical jump ability, allowing it to teleport anywhere on the map regardless of fog of war at a very high energy cost, meaning that probably you won't be able to teleport back, and meaning probably you won't have enough energy to use Yamato gun. The thing about this is that you will be able to use the Battle Cruiser to harass, taking into consideration the early aspects of the game where you will have a lot of income really fast. You will be able to maybe build a starport really fast, and maybe some kind of I forgot how the building is called, damn it. See, I haven't played StarCraft in some time. The one that's fusion reactor, I think. And you will be able to walk with the battle cruiser towards the enemy. You will be able to start harassing because the battle cruiser is still doing a pretty amount of damage. But the problem with the battle cruiser was that it was slow, right? So that's why people kind of didn't use it. And when the enemy is coming to deal with you, you will be able to just teleport back home, which is nice. Or you will be able to just teleport around the other part of the map where the enemy has another base or something like that. And then the Siege Tank Legacy Void focus on harass and aggression, which is something that I like. The Siege Tank has been granted the ability to be lifted and dropped while maintaining siege mode, which is great. As a drawback, it requires the full cargo of the medic vac, which means that you will only be able to carry one tank. But the thing is that you will be able to put up a tank and maybe harass with only 2 tanks and pick up those tanks, drop them on the low ground, and put them on the high ground and stuff like that. Now, the Zerg. Lurker is back. Lurker has returned. People has been asking about the Lurker, and we always got this response like, yeah, there is no place for the Lurker. I think they just said, like, screw it. People kind of hate StarCraft 2 enough. People got bored with it. People kind of always loved the Lurker in StarCraft 1. Let's put the Lurker back in. Because I haven't seen any reason why they said, hey, we finally found a place for the Lurker. But anyway, it's a tier 2 unit which morphs from a hydra list like it was in StarCraft 1. So looking forward to see how this is going to be placed. I mean, at tier 3 you will be able to increase its attack range. So that's going to be nice. I like the Lurker too, especially that sound, like. And then we also are going to get the Ravager. The Ravager is a new unit which morphs off Roach. While stronger than the Roach, its effectiveness heavily relies on the player's micro do its activated ability Corrosive Strike. So Corrosive Bile. Corrosive Bile is like a mortal ability, and you will be able to Once fired, impacts short after the delay. So the good thing is that you will also be able to destroy force field with it. So, and I'm thinking about, like a strategy where you will get a couple of roaches and about 3 ravages just to keep them for force fields. Or I'm curious in general. I'm not really sure how to put my finger onto this one too. And then Corruptor got a new ability that will be able to destroy buildings that are being targeted, and that's nice because Corruptor is kind of useless in general. I mean, a lot of the times you are kind of faking into going air, the Zerg gets Corruptors, but then you don't go air, so in a way you kind of won right there because he has useless Corruptors that are not really useful, right? Now they are having another use, like harassing buildings. Swarm Host. To strengthen Zerg harass, the Swarm Host has been shifted from a siege tool to a mobile harass tool. That's lovely, because how cool Swarm Host was, it was immobile. It kind of forced those games where I'm just going to sit here, relaxing, chilling, whatever. Just deal with those free units that the Swarm Host is generating, right? And the Locust will be able to be buffed to fly over terrain, which is nice. Really nice. And then Nitro Swarm, unit that a building that I loved. You won't be able to attack the Nitro Swarm while it's, channeling. Only after it's finished on borrowing. Then that's actually nice because you will be able to harass a lot again. And from what I've seen, Legacy of the Void, it's really trying to get a little bit more alert. It's really going to try to make the game more dynamic, which is something great because I do like StarCraft, but again, it was way too boring. I mean, I don't know. I know that I still have friends that are, StarCraft. I'm not going to go to DreamHack because they don't have StarCraft. Come on, what the hell? It's boring. It was cool when we were little. It was cool 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago when it came out. Hey, StarCraft, let's play some strategy. In a way, it's still cool now, but it's boring to watch. At least esports level, it will make tournaments more exciting, I think. I hope. So hopefully this is my... I tried to give up some impressions about this whole thing that they announced. I do hope to get into the beta, and then I will make more content, more StarCraft 2 content. So write your things, your suggestions below. What do you think about this? Write in the comments below, and maybe I will do, in my weekly show, Gaming Talk, that I do every Tuesday, I will talk about StarCraft some more if I get some comments. Hopefully, Generalu, I need you. Where are you to talk about StarCraft, right? Thanks, guys, for watching this. See you soon. Goodbye.